From stories across the globe to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. A very good evening to you. I'm Sharifa Tahir.
A very good evening indeed. I'm Javed Bongzo, and we begin with the headlines of tonight's news.
Government emphasizes that stating Colombo Port City would become a Chinese colony is totally false. Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage says that the Attorney General has informed that the Port City draft bill is legal. Anointing of oil for the new year is scheduled at 7:16 a.m. tomorrow. Special bus services are being operated for the people to return from their villages. India records the second highest number of COVID patients in the world.
We move on to those and other stories in detail now. We take a look at local news first. Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage has emphasized that the Attorney General has informed that the draft bill on Port City is legal. The minister pointed out that certain groups are attempting to publicize false views on the project for narrow political gains. Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage mentioned this during a media briefing in Colombo today. Minister Mahindananda Alutgamage said that there is no cover-up in this. The Act has been introduced according to all rules and regulations. The Attorney General has informed the President's Secretary that it is not against regulations and according to the Constitution. After receiving advice of the Attorney General, it has been gazetted and thereafter anyone can go to courts. There are about 19 or 20 petitions in the courts. The courts will inform Parliament whether it is legal. If it is legal, it can be passed as usual. If not, the court will say to make necessary amendments. Then the government is prepared to make the necessary amendments. Or else it has to be taken for a two-thirds majority. Since this is not the constitutional activity, there is no necessity for a two-thirds majority. Therefore, this is an act which can be passed with a simple majority. When the Supreme Court opinion is given, the government is prepared to remove anything that is against the law of the country. Thereafter, it must be said that the law of the country has not been overlooked for any reason. The minister said that the US ambassador has mentioned that money laundering could be done through this. No amendment has been made to the Money Laundering Act. All local and foreign transactions comes under Money Laundering Act. Therefore, her statement is not relevant. There is no connection of money laundering with this project. With her statement, Mr. Anura Dissanayake has held a press conference. He has said that amendments will be made forcefully using the two-thirds majority. He said 114 is enough to pass an act. Therefore, a two-thirds majority is not needed. Therefore, he is telling a lie. He also says that attempts are made to make black money into white money. He does the same thing the US ambassador did. He knows clearly that the new act does not include any changes of the Money Laundering Act. Therefore, money laundering will not take place through the Port City project. He says that altogether 446 hectares are being sold to China. The minister said he does not know whether Mr. Anura Kumara Dissanayake is aware about it. It has not been sold. It has been leased out and a property of the state. Accordingly, it must be said what Anura Kumara and the US ambassador have said are not valid. Thereafter, Vijaydas Rajapaksa says that this act has been introduced overlooking all tax acts in the country. He has said that special privileges have been given to get funds for the Port City project. In the meantime, it was emphasized that unfounded allegations are levelled by the opposition since they could not bear up the mega development that will take place with the construction of the Port City.
Meanwhile, State Minister Ajit Nivar Cabral says that stating Colombo Port City would become a Chinese colony is totally false. He mentioned this during a media briefing at the Finance Ministry this afternoon. State Minister Ajit Nivar Cabral said that the new commission is established for the convenience of the investors, enabling them to get services of all state institutions from one place. He emphasized the President is entrusted with all powers of the commission.
I think it should be driven in a pure, efficient manner. So we specifically thought it should be left to the President to handpick people, and then possibly some people will have to be persuaded to join. I think these are onerous duties, and if you want to get a really outstanding person to head it and also come in and be a part of this commission, President will probably need to persuade them to come in and take those positions. We thought right now, at the time that we are starting off, that we should have the authorities who are already proficient in these fields to have a say in the matter. So it will be much faster, but we need to give some preference to these people who are coming in and investing here, so that they will be able to have the confidence that their cases would be heard and finished. So if we appreciate the fact that it should be not at the expense of the Sri Lankans, but that will be a matter that the Justice Ministry will probably need to work out in consultation with the Supreme Court perhaps.
The central bank says that the manufacturing sector has recorded 67% in its indices last month. It is the highest percentage achieved by the manufacturing sector in last 9 months. The statement issued by the central bank points out that it indicates local manufacturing process is recovering at a faster pace. The increase of production capacity of food, beverages, textiles and garments has contributed to the growth. Food and beverages companies have recorded the production and selling increased closer to the new year. Another reason has been increasing manufacturing in March to cover vacations during the New Year season. The services sector has increased with the growth of subsectors of financial services, private services, wholesale and retail trade. Accordingly, the central bank said that business activities in the services sector have increased continuously for the 4th month.
The auspicious time for tree planting is a new addition to the auspicious times of Sinhala and Tamil New Year. It was scheduled at 6:40 a.m. and tree planting took place island-wide today in connection with the new auspicious time. The main tree planting program took place at Angulukola Palace premises of Minister Mahinda Amravira's residence. The program is led by the Ministry of Environment to increase local plant density. Various varieties of plants were distributed recently in connection with the National Tree Planting Auspicious Time. The national program to plant 12 million trees covering all divisional secretariat areas of the country was launched today. The inauguration ceremony was held at Ragama Diagala Children's Town. A group of people including State Minister Nimal Lanza were present at the ceremony. The tree planting ceremony at Narayanpeta Abhayarama Temple took place under the patronage of Minister Sarath Weerasekara. He received the blessings of the Mahasangha, including Chief Priest of the temple, Venerable Muruttetuwe Ananda Thera and Bengambuye Nalaka Thera. Planting of trees in connection with the auspicious time in the new year took place at several places in the Galle district. The program to plant 100,000 coconut trees was launched this morning at Kandavihara premises on Thisamaharama Katragama Main Road. The tree planting program has been organized covering Hangwella, Navagamuwa, Mullaria police divisions in connection with the tree planting auspicious time. The tree planting program took place in the Ratnapura district as well. Planting of trees took place at the residence of State Minister Janaka Vakkumbura. Trees were planted at Vaunia district secretariat according to the tree planting auspicious time.
The traditional ritual to anoint oil in the Sinhala and Tamil New Year falls tomorrow at the auspicious time of 7:16 a.m. The state oil anointing ceremony will be held tomorrow morning at Palyagada Vidyalankara Pirivena premises. It will be telecast live over the national television. The ceremony has been organized by the Department of Ayurveda under the Ministry of Indigenous Medicine.
Sri Lanka Transport Board says that special bus services have been deployed for the people to return from their villages following the festive season. Special train services have also been added for the convenience of the public. Sri Lanka Transport Board implements bus services during the New Year season under 2 stages. Under the first phase, bus services were operated for the people to leave for their villages from Colombo. Special bus services are being operated from today for them to return under the second phase. Special train services are also being operated. Trains are running from Badulla to Colombo Fort and from Colombo Fort to Badulla. The Railway Department said special trains are being operated from Jaffna to Mount Lavinia and from Beliatta to Mardana.
State Minister Shehan Semasinghe says that the 5,000 rupee allowance has been paid to more than 2 million families belonging to Samurdhi and low-income recipients under 7 categories. The program is implemented by the Presidential Task Force to Eliminate Poverty and Economic Revival, headed by Mr. Basil Rajapaksa and Samurdhi Development Department. The low-income recipients who did not get the 5,000 rupee allowance at Nivithigala electoral division were paid the allowance yesterday. A group of people, including State Minister Janaka Vakkumbara, were present at the occasion. The people who could not get the 5,000 rupee allowance in the Kagol district were paid the allowance. 90% out of 175,000 families entitled to the 5,000 rupee allowance have been paid the amount. The low-income recipient families who did not get the 5,000 rupee allowance in the Pulanarua district were paid the allowance today. A group of people, including MP Amarakirthi Attukorla, were present at the occasion. 147,247 Samurdhi and low-income recipient families in the Batticaloa district have been paid the 5,000 rupee allowance. Our reporter said that a 104-year-old woman also received the allowance. A woman named Similatuma Ahmed is a resident at Eravur, Mishnagar area in Batticaloa, has been born on the 11th of March 1917. Meanwhile, State Minister Shehan Semasinghe arrived at the place to look into an assault on a Samurdhi officer during the issuing of 5,000 rupee allowance at Alawa, Agbova area. The Samurdhi officer is undergoing treatment at the Alawa Regional Hospital.
The project to overhaul aircrafts of the Sri Lanka Air Force has achieved successful results. 13 aircrafts, including jets, have been completely overhauled and handed over to relevant squadrons. The new unit launched by Sri Lanka Air Force Repair Aircraft celebrated its 5th anniversary in January. It was commenced under the assistance of Chinese Airline Engineering Services Company of China. Accordingly, aircrafts manufactured in China are completely overhauled at the place. Up to now, 13 aircrafts of China have been overhauled under the supervision of the aeronautical aircraft technicians and handed over to the relevant squadrons. Overhauling of F-7 attack crafts, K-8 training aircrafts, 3 Y-12 aircrafts and PT-6-2 training aircrafts are being carried out at present. According to an agreement with the Chinese company, the first few aircrafts were refurbished with the assistance of Chinese engineers. Thereafter, Sri Lanka Air Force has overhauled several other aircrafts of the Air Force with those engineers and technical officers. At present, the complete overhaul is done by the engineers and technicians of Sri Lanka Air Force. This unit removes all parts of the aircraft, perform an international level quality check and reassemble the parts. Thereafter, the planes will become suitable to fly after flying for a time period given by the airline companies. Commanding Officer Group Captain Indika Vikramasinghe said that overhauling of aircrafts should be done with strict discipline. Various levels of inspections, quality checks and rechecks are being done to prevent any human errors. The unit at present is equipped with staff including technicians who are veterans in the field. The unit has received an international level permit for aircrafts overhauling. Group Captain Indika Vikramasinghe said that engineers and technical officers are annually examined for the successful implementation of the project. The government has given its approval to overhaul 5 Kafir jets belonging to Sri Lanka Air Force. Refurbishing of aircrafts belonging to the Air Force locally has reduced expenditure. It will also have a huge amount of money and time to send aircrafts overseas for such activities.
In the meantime, police have requested the public to follow quarantine regulations during the festive season. Police said legal action has to be taken if they violate the regulations. The number of recoveries from COVID-19 has reached 92,611. Another 2,852 patients are undergoing treatment. Another 129 COVID-19 patients were detected in the island today. 108 of them were close associates of the Palayagoda COVID cluster and the remaining are contacts of the prison cluster. 7 COVID-19 deaths were reported yesterday from Pasyala, Ratnapura, Kalmune, Kalavana, Tondamanaru, Talangama and Chavakacheri areas. The program to offer gift sacks for COVID patients took place at the Anuradhapura Metsiri 7 COVID-19 Treatment Centre. State Minister Duminda Disanayaka, Rajarata Service of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation and Cargill's Food City representatives visited the place. Patients and staff of the COVID-19 Treatment Centre at Bingiria were given gifts for New Year by the Vimba Radio of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
And White House officials reports that the United States is preparing for the possibility that a booster shot will be needed between 9 to 12 months after people are initially vaccinated against COVID-19.
The White House said on Thursday it's preparing for the possibility that a third COVID-19 booster shot might be needed within a year after being vaccinated. Initial data has shown that the vaccines from Moderna, as well as from partners Pfizer and BioNTech, stays mostly effective for at least 6 months. But for how much longer than that has yet to be determined. Earlier this month, Pfizer and BioNTech said their vaccine was about 91% effective and cited trial data including more than 12,000 people who were fully inoculated for at least 6 months. CNBC reported Thursday that Pfizer's chief executive, Albert Bourla, also said a third booster dose will likely be needed within a year and added the possibility of annual shots. Experts have said that rapidly spreading variants of the coronavirus, as well as others that may emerge, could lead to the need for regular booster shots, similar to annual flu shots. The CDC is also tracking infections in people who have been fully vaccinated. Its director, Rochelle Walensky, told Congress that of 77 million people already vaccinated in the United States, there had been 5,800 infections. That includes almost 400 hospitalized and 74 who died. Walensky said some of those infections occurred in people with weak immune responses, while the concern is that some others were infected by more contagious virus variants.
Moving on to more local stories, the bodies of father and son who went missing after going to bathe in Valioya between Haldumulla and Kalupahana bridges were found today. Police said that their bodies were recovered this morning about 800 meters away from the place where they met with the accident. A group of people have gone to bathe in Valioya yesterday around 3 p.m. A son and a father among them went missing after getting caught in strong currents. It is reported they were among the group of Maharagama Pamanagama tourist group, and the police said that they have got caught to a sudden current with torrential rains in the area. Another couple who were being dragged away in the water has been rescued. Police and villagers were able to save a group of 10 who went to see Uaparnagama Bomberuela and being caught in strong currents. They have been rescued after an operation about 7 hours.
And 3 persons have died after being struck by lightning in Mullaitivu yesterday. They met with the accident while staying at a small hut at Mullaitivu Thannimuruppu area. 2 of them are brothers of the same family and the other one is a person from the neighborhood.
People who are living in risky areas, which is identified by the NBRO for the landslides, they need to concern about the signs of the landslide. If any signs of the landslide been observed, they need to move from these locations as well. So people are thoroughly advised to take all the necessary actions, which are trained and aware since long time for these communities. So to avoid the damages of the lightning. So 117 call center is completely open for all disaster management activities. Our emergency operations center linking with the military and the police, they are continuously working 24/7, and all the disaster management units at the ground level, they are working in 24/7 as well. So if any situation that people can access via 117 call center number in 3 languages in 24/7 basis.
The Disaster Management Centre says that Kandy has been named as a landslide risk district. Damages have been caused by heavy rains to Kandy, Kadawat Satara, Gangawat Korle, Madadumbara, Pataheva Hatta, Harispattua, Patadumbara and Tumpane areas. Several buildings of Hantana, Topadarama temple have been damaged. Providing relief for the affected people is taking place on the instructions of Kandy District Secretary. The Kandy Municipal Council and the Army are repairing the houses damaged in Hantana area. Meanwhile, the Met Department said rains more than 75 millimeters can occur in the afternoon or night at certain places of eastern, central and Ua provinces.
State Minister Janaka Vakkumbara says that the farmers have been able to sell their raw turmeric harvest for the highest price in history. He mentioned this while attending the function to purchase turmeric harvest to the Gampa district. 1 kilogram of turmeric is purchased at 400 rupees. The stocks of raw turmeric are being purchased by the State Ministry of Sugar, Maize, Cashew, Pepper, Cinnamon, Betel and Minor Crops Development and Export Promotions. 12,000 kilograms of turmeric are scheduled to be purchased from the Gampa district. Purchasing took place under the patronage of State Minister Janaka Vakkumbara.
And that's it for tonight's news. To watch us tomorrow at the very same time. Good night.
Have a pleasant night.